Okay, this demo is about how to select the signs for a multi-level analysis in PLS SCM using the anchor factor with variation diffusion approach. So in this example, I have a data set that has the company type as a labor text-based type variable. And I have data collection that I conducted and that I used for this analysis. And the data was collected from three different organizations. And at some point in this article, I have to select the correlation sign between the categorical variable that I'm converting into a numeric variable and the predictors. Now, in a multi-level analysis, typically I have a variable that is categorical, could be numeric, but if it is numeric, then I don't have to uh, conduct this procedure. I can just use that variable directly as a control variable. Typically, it's a categorical variable that I need to turn into a numeric variable, and that variable influences the predictors in a model like this. So it will have an effect in an endogenous variable like this one. And if I have a model with more endogenous variables, I would have to perform this procedure for all of them. But the multi-level analysis assumes that this categorical variable, which needs to be turned into a numeric variable, influences the endogenous variable indirectly. So then I have a problem with endogeneity that I need to address, and that's the issue that needs to be addressed through a multi-level analysis. Now, in order to choose the signs, I will have to inspect correlations, but let me first take the initial steps. So I'll go to the option Explore, Categorical to Numeric to Categorical Conversion, and I will choose the option Categorical to Numeric. And here I have a categorical variable that has three categories. I can actually see it's stored as a label, data label. So it has a company type, and I have farming, manufacturing, and technology companies. So I have these three types of companies that I collected data from, and I want to control for the possible effect that that has on my results. So that's why I'm doing this. So I have my categorical variable, and then I will select my other variables, the variables that I believe are directly influenced by the categorical variable, and those are these three variables, TU, ED, and PS. Okay, now I have to select these signs. And really, the important thing is that the signs are consistent with one another. So uh, they could be all positive or all negative. Now, how do I select these signs? One way to do this, and by the way, I'm going to use the option anchor factor with variation diffusion, which is the recommended option for multi-level analysis. But how do I select these signs? So what I can do is go to the results and look at the correlations among latent variables. And as I can see, those latent variables that I'm considering for my analysis, these are their correlations, the correlations among the three of them. And as we can see, they are all positive. Now, let's say two were positive and one was negative, then I would set that sign for that particular variable that turned out to be negative. I would set that sign as negative. But in this case, since I have all of the correlations among these variables as positive, then I would assume that my new numeric variable that's going to be generated based on this procedure will have positive correlations with all of them because they all have the same uh, s- uh, uh, sign of a correlation among themselves. It could all be negative, but the sign would have to be the same for all of them because they are correlated among themselves with the same sign. So then I'll click on yes, and that will allow me to create that new numeric variable, which I would then include in the model as a control variable. So what I would do is create a new latent variable, and this is the one that I created now. The other two have been created because I use this project file for other examples. So I would say essentially add this new variable. This is the numeric version of the uh, categorical variable that I had before that defined uh, or defined the companies from which I collected data. So I'm going to enter this variable here as a control variable, pointing at my endogenous variable in the model. And I would perform my analysis again. So this is an analysis, multi-level analysis that controls for possible endogeneity caused by the fact that I collected data from three different organizations. And the main point in this video is how to choose those correlation signs. And that's based on inspecting the correlations among these three variables in my model. So this concludes this demo.